So welcome to day 2 of the MYMOON Power Musings, and this is our 4th session. And
Mm.
this evening we are joined with the beautiful, incredible Laura Hart Swann, who is an incredible wild medicine woman who makes beautiful, beautiful tinctures and works a lot with plants as an incredible sister priestess and really a keeper of the thresholds, and works deeply with women through the cycles, through the moon cycles, through the menstrual cycles, through life and death cycles, through and through birthing portals as well. And so I'm so grateful for you to be here today, Laura. So thank you so much. And yeah, so I'd love to open up our time together and for you to just share a little bit, like, what was it that put you on this path, and like, how did you start working in women's work, and like, what was your calling? What was your guidance to it?
A really good question. I think if I'm really honest, my biggest calling was to heal my mother wound and to really connect to that sense that there was a lot there that needed to be healed and to be integrated. And let's face it, it's lifelong work. And so I started about 2 decades ago, really formally on that work. And yeah, I think it's really interesting that you've asked me to come and speak of these codes of inner summer, because in the way that I understand the wheel and the wheel of the year, the summer is the full bloom of mother. And I think a lot of women have trauma in the mother line, and they have trauma in the connection of mother and what it means to be in the fullness and the healthy flow of mother. And so, yeah, the coming into this work, I think I would never have understood it at the time. But now, sort of 2 decades on, I can really see where that calling was a deep calling, deep within, to heal lots. And I started a lot of work before I had my son. I wanted to make sure that before I had children, that I'd done an awful lot of work on the mother wound. So I think that would be the honest answer.
Wow, so powerful. I love how all of us are just guided in through a different avenue, and we all have our like different threads that are calling us in. And essentially this work for me, I really, really feel like is a deep calling home. Like, it's a
Mm.
calling home back to the body, back to the heart, back to the womb space. And then so with you and your work, um, how have you found it, like, because I feel like that this work is deeply, deeply profound, like connecting into the menstrual cycle and connecting into the moon cycles. What has been your experience of it? And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think what I find the most interesting is that it's very helpful to our brains for us to be able to compartmentalize. But ultimately, we have this understanding that they're all just flowing parts of a whole. And when you're working with those seasons and cycles, it draws you into this connectivity and this intuition where you're really honoring what's actually present. And so you can't you just can't avoid what's there. And as you say, that pathway to embodiment. And I think the mother, especially this summer, this inner summer, is all about embodiment, and it's all about a full connection with the inner mother. And in the wheel, the mother is summer, and she's fire, and she's the fullness of herself. And if you look at the moon phase as fire, the fullness of the moon, she's actually always full. It's just that it's in the fullness of the solar connection that we see her in her fullness. So she's this reflective mirror. And in the full moon, when we get the chaos and we get the wolf howl and we get this like abundant magic energy, that is such an embodiment of the fullness of the inner summer and the inner mother. And, you know, for me, that mother energy is quite chaotic. The feminine in her real embodied form has many tendrils. She has much in the cauldron. And so we have this fullness in the fire element. And so many women have such, as we know, this kind of deep disconnect, and we have this higher heart, and then we have the lower heart of the womb. And there seems to be this big disconnect between the two. And when we start to work on embodiment and we actually utilize somatic tools and sort of therapeutic tools to connect, we start to clear that pathway and we start to become connected to what it is that is our creativity, our personal solar fire. And I think for me, one of the most interesting things about working with the cycles is that I mean, I have a Scorpio rising, and I really, really love the deep depth and the darkness, and I quite enjoy going into the darkness of the cycle. And that has really helped some of the women I've worked with, because they've been so scared of it, you know, and it's naturally so vilified. But in lifting that and being able to face that kind of powerful dragon, that fire energy, they've really come to some nuggets, some diamonds, some magic. And the other thing that I find is that there can be a need to really harness the solar fire. Like it can be quite depleted or even completely suppressed or, you know, watered out. And it's actually coming into that inner summer actually quite confrontational. You know, we love summer. Most people will tell you they can't wait for summer in its outward form. They can't wait for the mother, and they can't wait to see her nurturing and all her blooms and all her magic. But it's like there's such a disconnect when it comes to women fully embodying their inner summer and who their fullness is, and the kind of cyclical nature of knowing that, you know, in this very sort of indoctrinated culture of being outward all the time, all that really does to the feminine flow is that it suppresses it more, because we cannot be in that outward solar fire all the time. Our moon magic gets depleted. Our feminine moon essence really needs that deep dive. And so on the wheel of the year, where we sit with the mother in the south and in the fire, she's directly on the axis from the crone in the north and in the winter. And there's this real acknowledgement of the deep expression of both of those, where they need to kind of see each other in order to fully become one and the same. And it's the same as with our menstrual cycle, where we move through that. If we're not honoring the menstrual cycle, if we're not taking that deep rest, if we're not listening to what's going on and being given that deep intuitive time, we actually won't blossom as beautifully in the summer of our cycle. So we miss out, you know, we kind of skip from spring kind of straight to autumn. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Absolutely. I was talking about this yesterday, how, you know, last bleed I didn't get to rest properly, and I've really noticed the difference this month. And on the months that I do really rest on my bleed time, I like notice like how much more energy I have, and like how fuller I feel, like as I'm coming round the wheel and into summer again.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, my darling. Oh, I love it. I could just talk and listen to you all day long. And so you mentioned about like harnessing like the solar energy of the inner summer. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, what would that look like to you?
Sure. Okay. So I suppose taking it back to more of a physical sense, I guess, from the hormonal perspective, this is the ovulatory phase. So we have this release of one of our eggs, and we have this estrogen surge, and then we get this luteinizing hormone, and it peaks, and that's what causes us to release an egg and to find out whether or not, much like a seed in the soil, that egg is going to be fertilized, and whether or not it's fertilized into a baby or into a creative process. There's this fertile nature that you are now in. So you're in a fertile phase. So let's say you are depleted, then it really begins from that rooted ground up. Like, until you are so connected with your body to be able to listen and say, actually, on this part of my bleed, I'm going to need these things to nourish me so that I can carry through. And it is funny, it is a bit chicken and egg. It's like, which came first? Because of course we need the egg, but actually, what's the groundwork? What's the chalice doing? How is that held? And I like to talk about this quite a lot in my moon sort of circles, is if you consider when a woman, just taking becoming pregnant as an example, when she becomes pregnant, her womb is holding the last bleed she will have for a very long time. It is holding the blood. That is the nest for her child. And if it's not a child, if it's a creative process, you have to think about it as you're like in your bleed, you're building up now from once that final release, whatever you do now into the next phase and into the follicular phase, you are then going to be really building this blood energy and this blood mystery power. And without that power, like, it literally flows through you, or it doesn't, or it's depleted. And so that's on a kind of physical level. Like, what are we doing on our sort of root nourishment? And then when we come to the kind of sensual level, your oils, for example, they obviously are meeting us on so many levels. And when you're touching yourself and you're massaging yourself and you're connecting to your womb as a literal embodiment of your creativity, you really need to drop into this understanding that this abdomen, this diamond in you, within you, is at the top of it, actually where the fundus is, where the most power comes from when you push out a baby. That's, the solar plexus. That's the fire. And so many women, as I mentioned, they don't even have this build of the fire, and they're so disconnected, and it's literally there. It's like the block of the fire right there. And so with the oils and with that sensual understanding, again, there is such a power with the plants and this plant spirit and the plant spirit medicine, with actually bringing us into embodiment. And we'll go on to talk about the specific plants in a bit, but when you're in your most fertile, if you want to really, really take hold of what is your solar energy, it's multifaceted. It's totally holistic, and you're going to have to really begin with that rooted embodiment. And so something that brings you deeply into embodiment, into the olfactory system, into the vagus nerve, brings you deeply into your body, into your pelvis. Because actually for women, in again, this solar masculine that we're so used to, everything comes from the head. But actually, as women, we want to invert the cauldrons, and we want to drop into making sure that we're really coming from our intuitive place of knowing. And that is going to be different for each and every one of us. And until we realize that there is no, there's no competition, because women actually are just like flowers in the summer. They bloom right when they're ready to, at the right moment. And there's no, if you speak to any herbalist or any plant person, and they'll actually struggle to tell you their favorite plant, because each of them has so many gifts and so much to bring. And so often I find when women come to me with a deep wound blockage and I do a wild medicine session, we do tend to go from the head to the heart to the womb, because it has a necessity to kind of facilitate the expectation almost of our heads to drop in. But I think what you have created is something so beautiful, because there's actually this ability to just go straight past needing to do that. Like they bring you straight in. And so it's such an incredible tool to just really come, women, we are all wild medicine women. We are all, apothecaries. We are all there. We've just become so disconnected from that. And the minute you start awakening that, just the magic that occurs and the solar fire that is activated is so, so powerful. But in the inner summer, in the mother, she is creatrix. She is collaborative. She's out there. She's connecting. She's overgrowing, and she's really, she's really connecting to everyone else in this rich love language of who she is. And that's just so beautiful when you witness that. So yeah, I've gone on and on. Sorry.
Oh my God, I love it. And I love what you said with the head, heart, and womb, because actually that's exactly the anointing process that you go through with that's exactly it. That's exactly how I designed it, because we spend so much time in our heads, and actually to drop all the way from your head to your womb is a long drop.
Mm-hmm.
No, we don't know how to get there. And so so we do need these steps. And so the anointing ritual is you anoint your third eye, and then you do the your witch's eye. And you'd love that one. And then you do the heart, and then you do your wrists, and then you wash it all the way through your energy field, and then come to the womb. So it's a whole embodiment practice, just using the oils. And then, I mean, I always feel like people always want to know, like, so what is an embodiment practice? So for me, I find, sounding, I do a lot of sighing. Sighing is my thing to help me get into my body. Like movement, you'll always catch me sort of like a bit of a spiral. Like I just can't help myself. My body just always wants to be doing that. And so I find, like, dancing, touch, like touching myself, like the massage definitely really, really, really helps. And of course, like earthing on the ground as well. And those would be probably like my go-to, and dancing. What would yours be, if you feel?
Oh, so similar. I mean, yeah, absolutely. And I think the fact that we are now heading towards full bloom of Litha, like the lady's mantle, the alchemilia is got dew in it, and you can literally go down and drink the dew from the lady's mantle, and anything that's like taking in like the honeysuckles and the sweetness of things. And one of my favorite rituals that I offered a while back in my moon school was a honey bath, and like literally like taking the nectar of the goddess to the bath with you, and like dripping with honey and anointing yourself like the bee priestesses, and giving yourself that full wash of honey, and just like, just really sensual pleasures. And I think the plants connection like that it's something that can be so healing. And you know, if you're connecting, it's almost like, I think for a lot of people, like all the way back from the 70s or 80s, like the essential oils are like a gateway drug. And it's like almost everybody has essential oils one way or another. And then like the deeper you connect to those, you realize, oh, well, hey, like there's the actual plant. And then, oh my gosh, it's edible. And oh my gosh, it has all these incredible powers. And so yeah, there's just so many. I actually have a beautiful blessing of the goddess I'd like to share with the group, like when we, in a little bit. But the one thing I did want to maybe touch upon, because we've just today moved to Gemini, and we're in the season of Gemini, which is all about connectivity. I really felt to also, if you don't mind, like really connect to the shadow of inner summer a little bit, and to talk about, you know, what I was mentioning before about the overworked and overwhelmed, and the identification of mother as the giver, you know, and really being depleted because she just feels like she has to give all the time. And there's a real imbalance with that. And there can be such a misidentification of what mother is. And so we need to be really, really careful with ourselves when we're in full bloom, that we also have acknowledgement of like really being very almost not cautious, not careful, but like really acknowledging our energy, right? Like in the same way as if we don't look after ourselves on our bleed, like we also need to, yes, have the most incredible, fun, wondrous time in our summer, but also acknowledge that it is still an energy exchange. And I've been working a lot with the archetype of the Empress. As you know, my big Empress tree in my garden is beginning to come out. And the Empress is, you know, she's an archetype that deeply connects to nature, and she knows how to oversee the natural world, but she sort of sits back on her throne, and she knows when to receive and she knows when to give. And this archetype, I think, is so helpful for the mother. It's like really getting rid of a lot of that mother wound, that feminine wounding of being in constant need to give and actually receiving. And again, I think that's where these tools really become non-negotiable. And what I love also about what you're bringing to the world is that, I mean, I'm literally going to have an altar in my bathroom with that. You know, I'm literally going to have like, everyone will know that that is a daily non-negotiable, you know, that, and I mean, I have so much of that anyway, and my boys are probably so bored of me, but you know, it's really important in healing the mother, healing the earth, healing the world, coming back to this sensuality and coming back to the truth of the mother as needing to be like the hearth fire of the home. And if the fire is depleted, then the home is not healthy. And so that healthy mother fire is actually what we need to cultivate, and that healthy solar fire. So we want mothers in their full power. We want women growing up so that you know, that they are in their solar in a really creative, connected, and immovable way, that they feel the fullness, and then they can offer their gifts to the world. So yeah, I find that one plant that I work with a lot, again, coming back to the bee and the mother goddess, is lemon balm. And it's like if you're fractured or you're stressed, you have this honey nectar to like bring calm and bring the nervine. And again, I just think anything like that, where if you're overwhelmed or overstretched and you know, feeling the shadow of that, then you can really utilize these practices to come into a real alignment and nourish yourself and nurture yourself, and know that this body temple, this is the only one you get. Like, it has to be loved, and there's a lot to work through there. For most women, there is a big shadow, and so you're bringing something so beautiful to help these women to really identify with the absolute sensual beauty of nature, but bring that to themselves and just keep bringing it and keep bringing it, even no matter what, keep bringing it, and it's powerful work.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Laura.
Mm.
Is there anything else you wanted to share about inner summer, or is it time to go to the plant spirit journey? What do you feel?
Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah. So I brought with me my beautiful rose, which smells incredible, and I have some jasmine and some neroli here, and I wanted to connect to these particular plants because they are the inner summer main notes, the mother rose, the jasmine, and the neroli. And so just coming into a sense of wherever you are, whether you're lying down or sitting, just dropping in and dropping down and taking some beautiful breaths just to connect to your body temple. And if you can, just closing your eyes and allowing them to drop into the back of your head. And much like that empress we were discussing, actually feeling into your back body, coming out of this forward facing and dropping into the back of your body. And just noticing the strength of this place. And as you do that, dropping really deeply into that pelvic bowl. And if you're sitting or you're lying down, just maybe allowing your legs to open slightly, giving your pelvis a chance to widen. And I'd like you in your mind's eye to just imagine the most beautiful receptacle, the most beautiful chalice, a bowl, perhaps it's white alabaster, and it shines and shimmers. And that bowl is the seat of your power, the throne of your being. And we're going to gradually invite these three incredible plant allies into this sacred chalice. So if it helps you to connect and place your hands over your womb, just allowing yourself to bring the rose into your mind's eye. The rose in her full bloom. The delicate yet strong petals. The curvaceous and sensuous. The muse of the rose. And you're just going to imagine her, feel her, sense her, enveloping you. Perhaps you can smell her. And allow her to drop into this chalice and anoint this place. And just asking, does Rose have a message for you? Thanking her for her presence, her guidance. And now connecting with the jasmine, the white jasmine with her strong, dark, beautiful interwoven, this trellis of jasmine, this stunning, unctuous, sensual, sexual, encoded flower, igniting something within you, smelling her, dancing with her for a moment, and noticing if she has any wisdom to impart. And then asking the neroli, this beautiful, delicate, deeply fragrant orange blossom, this solar-coded light being, full of honeyed nectar, receiving her deeply into this chalice of your being. Inviting any wisdom from neroli. And it may not come in words, it may come in dancing flashes of light and connectivity, drops of nectar, allowing her to encode into your cells. You're going to imagine now your hands gently in the chalice, just beginning to really mix up these scents of the rose, neroli and the jasmine. And as you gently crush the petals between your fingers next to one another, their scents dance, and this perfume comes up and out and over you, enveloping you in such a connected sense of sensual pleasure. You allow yourself to be held in this bloom of the summer. Dropping in, and for just a few more moments, with deep gratitude, allowing yourself to receive these wisdom keepers deep into your DNA, knowing that your bloodline comes from these bloodlines of these powerful wise women that were so connected to these plants, so connected to these blooms, that on another level knew how to work with them, knew their secrets. And you're waking this up within yourself. You're reawakening the magic that is encoded within you from lifetimes of this connection to the goddess. And just when you're ready, slowly welcoming yourself back into this present space, allowing this chalice to just stay blooming in your womb into the evening, into this golden hour, into this time where the light becomes this perfect pitch. And you come back into the room. And I'd love to share with you the blessing of the goddess. And so this is more of an embodied ritual practice. And so we take our arms up and round in whatever way you can, taking them round and outside of yourself into your heart. And you're just going to follow the actions with me as I say the words. Bless me, Mother, for I am your daughter. Bless my eyes, that I may see you in all things. Bless my nose, that I may breathe in your essence. Bless my ears, that I may hear your song in all of nature. Bless my lips, that I may sing your praises. Bless my throat, that I may speak my truth. Bless my heart, that I may give and receive of your love. Bless my breasts, formed in strength and beauty. Bless my womb, the center of my strength and creativity. Bless my knees, that I may remember humbleness. Bless my feet, that I may walk my own true path. Bless my hands, that I may create healing, harmony, and beauty whatever I touch. There is no part of me that is not of the goddess. And so it is. Blessed be. So, sisters, let's play the long game of creating from full bloom, from chain breaking, all this madness, and really allowing each of our sisters to bloom, blooming alongside one another and in our fullness.
Oh, thank you, Laura.
Mm.
Wow, that blessing is just so incredible. Like every part of me was receiving and just drinking it up and loving it. Oh, thank you so much. And the plants, wow, the plant connections and the messages that came through. We'd love to hear from you all if you wanted to just write a couple of words in the chat of what you received from the plants.
Yeah, if anyone feels called to, but if not, that's okay too. Yeah, I'm so grateful to my teachers, both physical women who taught me these things and to the plants. And so I'm really excited, and I know the deep process that you've been in to bring this earth side with so much integrity and so much beauty and so much honoring of that, and just so excited to get the Mary Magdalene alabaster jar and create my own womb temple with it. It's really special. It's so special.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you, beautiful women, for joining as well. Yeah. All right, so we're going to close this session. So thank you. Sending much love. Bye.
Thank you, women. Thank you so much.